Did you know teenagers voted fake tan the fifth greatest invention of the past 35 years?
Well, TikTok star Molly Roberts is with us now after she went viral recently for sharing how she weaned herself off her fake tan addiction.
And joining Molly is Professor Caitriona Ryan, who will be sharing all the pros and cons of fake tanning. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for joining us on the couch, and of course to you as well. Molly, I suppose we'll start with you this morning. Why do you think you became so reliant on fake tan?
Well, when I first started using tan, it was just for teenage discos. It was a bit of Sally Hansen spray on the legs. But then when I went to college, there was more nights out. So I had to have more of a mousse tan that lasted all week. And I think that's kind of how I started consistently being fake tanned.
And how out of hand did it get, Molly? I mean, how reliant on it were you?
Well, when I say I was addicted, it was kind of to the point where I genuinely didn't like looking at myself even in the mirror without it. I definitely wouldn't leave the house without it. I didn't want anyone to see me without it at all, because my perception of myself was when I was fake tanned, and I didn't recognise myself without it.
So how much time were you spending tanning yourself on a weekly basis? Was it every day or every second day? Give us an idea.
So my tan would last around like 4 days. So it was normally twice a week, and it would be like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours in every few evenings. So 2 evenings a week, really, but a couple of hours each day. And
at what point then, Molly, did you say, no, hang on, this is now, you know, it's unhealthy for me to be so reliant on it? What changed for you to realise that?
Well, I think during the lockdowns, obviously I wasn't going outside, I wasn't really seeing anyone in person, and that's when I kind of realised, wow, there might be an issue here, because I'm not really liking myself without it, and I really didn't like that feeling. I wanted to not have to rely on it. So
it was a psychological addiction, really, whereas you felt that you just didn't look normal. You didn't like the look of yourself. I suppose a lot of people have that way with filters. They don't like a photograph if they're not filtered, but that you didn't like your real reflection in real life because of this.
Yeah, I just felt that I was so fair. And also, I have quite translucent skin, so I can look very veiny. And I just felt that I looked a bit sick and tired without it. And people, even if I didn't wear makeup, some people would ask me, am I sick or am I okay? So for me, it was more of a thing of, oh no, I need to look healthy. I don't want to look ill. I don't want people to think there's something wrong with me. And also to fit in, because there's a huge culture of fake tan in Ireland, you know, from Irish dancing. And it's just a highly, highly common thing throughout women my age. So it was two things, really, trying not to look ill in my own mind, and also trying to fit in with all the girls I saw around me.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is that you're talking about this now, Molly, in terms of, you know, because it's brave of anybody to come on anywhere or go onto their platforms and say, I'm struggling with this, whatever it may be. But how important do you think it is that you're doing this, and the messages that you're trying to get out to all of your followers and to anybody who's watching today?
Well, I personally, I don't think that, you know, fake tan is harmful. It's more how you feel without it or with it. You'll know yourself how it's affecting you mentally. And I think the message that I was trying to figure out for myself and just get out is that it is okay to just be yourself, how you were born. You don't need a lot of things added onto you to feel that you are worthy of like being friends with people, just having any value at all or status in life. Like, you are perfect as you are in the skin that you were born in.
Yeah. Caitriona, we'll bring you in here now, I suppose. I remember reading a study a number of years ago, I'm not sure if it still applies, but judging by walking down the street on any given day, it is the same. We're the highest consumer of fake tan per capita. Well, we were in Europe, if not the world. And now at this point, why are we so obsessed with that look? Is it an intrinsically Irish thing, or have you seen it elsewhere?
No, it's a very common phenomenon throughout the world. And tanning, you know, well ahead of fake tan, has always been an issue. And in Ireland, I suppose, we have paler skin and we don't have natural sun, and which is probably a good thing, to have a real tan. But the psychology behind it is incredible. You know, the way we perceive ourselves and the way others perceive themselves. And I think, you know, Molly has shown such self-awareness there, you know, at such a young age as well, owning her own skin and recognising what has happened to her. But the studies show that when you look at yourself, you feel more confident, more attractive, slimmer. Often people, feel that they appear slimmer as well and healthier. And the psychological studies, if you randomise, if you have male and females examining photographs, they will select out people who have a tan as looking more attractive, slimmer, and healthier, and they'll employ people who have a tan as well. So it's something that's inherent in us, and unbeknownst to ourselves. And it's the medium tan they go for. It's not the mahogany tan when you look at it in psychology. And I suppose for me, I'm delighted that it's fake tan people are using now, because I think what Molly is saying, she wasn't addicted to fake tan. She was addicted to having a tan. Yeah. And when I was Molly's age, that was a long time ago, it was sunbeds, it was baby oil, which equals melanoma. And I'm a huge advocate of fake tan, not in the way that Molly was talking about her dependency on it, but that people have substituted that into their tanning patterns, a much more healthy behaviour. We know it's a very safe substance, rather than trying to achieve a UV-induced tan, especially with.
Let's talk about that a little second if we can, because there was the EU ruling that came into effect, I think, earlier on this year, whereas you can only have a certain amount of tanning agent in these formulas. And I would have thought it's because it's dangerous in higher levels, but that's not the case.
No, not at all. And actually, I think there was a lot of misinformation about that. So basically, there was a lot of information there always about the safety of DHA is the fake tan component. And there were regulations already in place in the US as to what level you could use. It's that all of the studies that show it's safe have been done up to all the robust data is up to 10%, and that has shown it to be incredibly safe at that level, even in pregnancy actually. So reproduction studies, looking at cancer studies, and they've tested it to very high levels in animal studies as well. So it's very safe.
Fake tan is safe.
It is safe. It can irritate your skin a little bit sometimes, but to me, it is the safest tan. The only tan people should have is a false tan.
Yeah. And how? Do we treat it, or do you treat it, I should say, as any other addiction? Do we try and break that cycle? How do we deal with it when it's got to that point?
I probably have the addiction myself, I have to admit here.
Is it a form of dysmorphia, that kind of thing? Yeah.
It's funny because when you look at the studies, it's even others perceiving us will look at things the same way. So I think everything in moderation, and it has been shown that when people don't have a tan, and there's about 20% of people are addicted to having a tan, they'll feel more depressed. And those people are more likely to have seasonal affective disorder, dependencies on other things too, exercise dependency, alcohol dependency. So addictive personalities will, be more dependent on having a tan.
And it opens up that wider discussion of the power of social media. That's why it's so important that Molly is telling her story to her followers. That's huge, isn't it?
It's absolutely huge, because what they've also shown is the more you look at tan bodies, the more you want a tan. And we see that across all aspects of cosmetics in general. If you look at lots of women who have lip fillers, then you start to want to have larger lips. And the more you see tans, you want a deeper tan. So yes, there's a huge impact of social media. And I hope Molly has an impact now here with her story as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time, Caitriona. I really appreciate it. And Molly, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
A pleasure.